they do have some sort of relation to them. But, you know, tonight we'll talk about RMT, which is real money transactions or real money trading, and kind of what do you guys think right now about RMT and its current situation in the game? And I'll start with Gilly, if that's all right.
It's really good for as far as like if streamer wise, if
No, no,
people
no,
are.
no, no. Hold on, hold on. Real money trading, as in like what you get banned
Oh,
for, not not
never mind.
not the gift shop.
Skip me.
Okay, let's go to Adagio. Adagio, what do you think about it right now and like its effect on the game?
Uh, I I just don't. I don't think people should be able to buy gil like that. I mean, I've worked pretty hard for the amount of gil I have, and I mean, just someone to come in and buy gil like that and ruin the markets, it's just not a good thing. And I mean, you see it. I mean, everyone sees the gold spammers constantly, and that's just a direct cause from it. I mean, you've come trained to just like ignore it now, but it's just it ruins the atmosphere of the game, and there's no reason for it. I mean, if you want to get something, put the time in for it. That's just what it really comes down to. Stop being lazy.
Yeah.
You mean it ruins it in like the market board, or it ruins your encounters in a game as well?
Both, because if you're buying gil, you're most likely buying up a lot of stuff that you really. I mean, the gil has to come from somewhere. It's going somewhere. It's flooding the market, and the more the gil floods the market, the worse the market is.
Well, let's go on to you, Samus. What do you think, man? What about real money trading? Is it just do you? Let's talk about. Tell me both the good things and the bad things about it.
Yeah. All right, I think RMT's fine. I'm not gonna condone it, and but I'm not gonna say it's terrible. It's wrecking the game. I'll give you guys two scenarios. Okay, the first scenario is, let's say some dude buys Gil, and he hops on the market board, and he buys gear from the market board. He buys the materia, and he fully melds all of his gear, to the maximum, to the max. So he's got this crafted gear that he bought. Okay. Some might argue that's cheating, but the way I see it is that crafted gear ever going to be best in slot? Is every single crafted gear going to be best in slot? I don't think so. I think Square Enix does a good job of balancing the gear between coil drops, or I mean dungeon drops, doesn't have to be coil, but dungeon drops and tome gear. So to say that a person can buy his way to the best gear in the game, I don't think that's very accurate.
Okay.
So, in that way, RMT doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt. If he wants to do it, he can do it. It's fine, but it doesn't hurt me in any way.
All right. That's interesting opinion. I don't think I was expecting no one to actually say anything good about it. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, you know what? Like that's the first scenario. I mean, it might hurt crafters out there. Like I don't know. You guys can give me perspective from crafters who are hurt by the market board and Gil being flooding the market board, because I don't craft, so I haven't looked at it in that way. The second scenario I was going to give you guys is like, let's say somebody buys Gil, he takes that Gil and he buys a turn 9 kill, or he buys a turn 5 or a primal X, something. He buys a run to progress himself further in the game. Okay, cool. He makes it further. Maybe he gets drops out of it because that's part of the deal when he buys a run. So he moves on, and he's now playing with you in Final Coil, and he sucks. He's not doing his job. He's terrible at his job because he bought the run, and he's only there because he bought the previous run. Again, if I were to look at that, I would say, that's part of the game. That doesn't hurt me in any way, because regardless of whether he bought Gil or not, I'm gonna come into contact with shitty players who don't know how to do their job properly. So the fact that he bought Gil is totally irrelevant to me.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So that's why when I say, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But there's probably a different perspective from the crafter's point of view, which is what I'm really interested in hearing. Hopefully you guys can.
Well, actually, I'm not a crafter by like any means at all. I have not. I think my highest level. I have a duty of land that are, what do you call it? DOL. That's what it's called. See, I don't even really know. Disciple of land. Yeah. Fisher up to 25, and I think that's my highest. Just because I can't get into it because it's so mundane to me. There's nothing that really appeals to me. I like going and killing a monster. Then on the flip side, luckily my girlfriend here, Kerr, does a lot of crafting, and I depend on her completely. So without her, I wouldn't have as much food as I have currently to do the raids that we do. And I think that's actually good. Some people really like that kind of aspect in the game. But going in more into RMT, it does hurt the balance. I'm sure people can come in there and buy and throw off the balance, but you know what else? There's lots of people who hurt the balance just because they know how to work a market board. They know how to work an auction house. They're like stockbrokers, They go in there and they say, oh, well, this is low. I'm going to buy all this out, raise all this. There's people out there that are going to manipulate it one way or another, whether you're doing real money trading or not. But I will say real money trading does hurt the game, and it's not that it's really hurting me per se, but it's hurting Square. Because that's money that's not going to Square. It's money that they're not going to get from subscriptions because the guy's going to get bored of the game, either because it's too hard for him and he never learned any kind of fundamentals to getting to the points that he needs to get to, or they go through the game a lot faster than they need to, and they don't do that salt grind that a lot of other people do to get all that gil, and they'll unsubscribe. So it hurts them, I think, in that way. And when I pull this into relation later on, I do want to make a point that, Square gets money from people for buying in-game items, which is kind of similar, but it's still going to Square, which is going to resources to help make the game better. Hopefully.
Are you referring to like the cash shop when you say they buy
cash shop
stuff? Okay.
And so, I mean, cash shop's the same. So if you want to, change your race, or you want to, buy a Fantasia, or you want to change your name, which I did recently, you're giving them $10 to do a little bit of programming, which doesn't seem too difficult, but they do have to maintain that. And so that money's still going to Square later on, and the excess flow they get from that will hopefully go towards resources to improve the game, add more content, and do other things. But that's just, we have to hope they're doing that. With real money trading, you're donating your money to somebody who's purely making profit for themselves and doing nothing to help the game. But that's just kind of my opinion on it. I would say it's more of a negative light for me, just because I like playing a game and feeling like I'm on the same ground with everyone. And since I'm not rich, I'm not as on the same ground with other people. But then again, Final Fantasy's not a competitive game in that sense either. You don't have lots of PvP in there. You don't have you have PvP, but it's not on the scale of other MMOs who are a lot more serious and hardcore into it. Like, you can't make a league with the PvP that's currently in the game. But that's my initial thoughts on it.
Well, there's crafters out there. Like I don't see any of them in our chat, and I don't think any of us are here, that are gonna say that. But there's crafters out there who say RMT sucks. RMT is destroying everything for crafters. I would argue against that, because the more money that these people have, in the economy, the more money that's good for you as a crafter. I mean, you could jack up your prices and create you can create a bidding war, or you could just get these people to spend as much as as much as you can dictate, because yes, some people will buy to resell, but if that's the case, those are other crafters. The people who just buy to use it are the RMT guys. I think that's a pretty fair statement, because if they're focusing on crafting, they're going to use the materials. They're going to buy low, sell high kind of thing. They're going to make their own guild a legit way, and they're not even. It's not going to matter to them how other people get their guild. Whereas the RMT guys, they're specifically buying to use it immediately, whether it's for glamour or for materia. That's all good. That's all good for crafters. But I've heard crafters.
So that's the main thing. You're saying that the real money traders, when they buy the guild, they'll buy at whatever price. That's part of the problem there, because that, for non-crafters, it drives the prices up for everyone else. It makes skill essentially worth less than it is. I mean, like the chat says, and yeah, everyone knows in game, you really don't need a lot of gil in this game.
Right.
I'm not so much going based off of what we see in our current market. I'm going off of other games that I've played before with real money trading. But I mean, yeah, that's just the way it is. It drives prices up and makes skill worth less. So the more money in the economy, the less your work is worth, basically.
Then the non-crafters. So then we're bringing up the topic of non-crafters having an issue with stuff being so expensive, right? Stuff on the market board. So the non-crafters, if they're not crafting, then they are probably focusing on raids and endgame stuff, or just other casual stuff, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Probably.
But
Yeah.
I think they're still going to need to buy that stuff, and they're not going to have nearly as much gil. Like I never have more than I think the most I had was 4 million gil, and so I can't buy any of that in-game stuff. But if I did, I know for me I would have to get in crafting because that's going to give me more money and do all that stuff later on, which puts me on the other flip side of the coin, to where it benefits me. But then again, I still have to do that grind. But I'll never do it because that's not fun to me, and I play the game because it's fun to me. Go ahead.
I'd say arguably the non-crafters. I would feel for the non-crafters who are working on their relics, because we know those level 4 materials are expensive as hell for certain jobs, right? Those guys I feel for, because it's very hard for them to earn X number of gil to buy the materia that's potentially going to break anyway. Those guys have it tough, because the prices are being driven up, so they have no way of making income unless they can put up or shut up. They can find a way to make gil. There's other ways besides crafting to make gil.
Yep. Or even trying to get like the gil to make them or buy the materia. You can spirit bond, stuff like that.
Yeah, get friends. Sure, spirit bonding. Spirit bonding is a great way to do it. That's what I did. I don't have any crafting skills. I just spirit bonded and got lucky with a few level 4s, level 3s, and just sold them on the market board.
Right. One thing I actually love about this game is you never truly go broke in this game. Like,
because you never have to buy anything. You never have to spend gil on anything.
Yeah. Ever since from other MMOs, like you were always, when you were broke, you were broke. Yeah. And in this game, it's like you can do a dungeon run, do a couple of them, you get some gil from killing the bosses and stuff. Spirit bonding, other stuff, dailies, sell stuff from the dailies, you'll get money there too. So
it's a good balance, because I think to buy a house or to decorate your house, you got to spend a lot of gil. You got to make a lot of gil. Okay, so what is that? What kind of player does that content is that supposed to be geared towards? Probably the crafter, probably the guy who's going to take the time to learn the market boards and figure out how to manipulate the market boards, or stockbroker it, as you guys eloquently called it earlier.
Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street, the market boards out there. Those guys are the ones who are going to figure out how to buy the houses without RMTing, right? The guys who RMT, they RMT, they buy their house. Okay, does that hurt people? Really? Does it really hurt the people who really want to buy the houses? I don't.
Depends on if there's any houses left on the market.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a good point.
Well, let's add another factor to this. Reason why I think, again, why RMT might be a bad thing for the game is because of the risk it also brings to the players who are going to get hacked and to get lose their accounts. And then when they get hacked, does that stuff spread to other people? Like they lose all of their stuff, and then maybe someone on the same network with them can get hacked too. Just all these things come into a factor of it, right? So it's like going out into the black market and trying to buy stuff, and calling the wrong person the wrong name, maybe you'll get shot. I've never been to any black market things, because we all know black market's like a physical place, right?
Are you sure? We can discuss that on stream and bring it to light.
Oh yeah, sure. The FBI isn't watching this. It's all right.
Never bought anything that fell off the back of a truck, huh?
No, I don't buy those things that fall off the back of the truck. I pick them up, but
oh, you pick them up? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So, I mean, it's a risky factor into the game, and so a lot of people are at risk because of it. And so what do you guys still think that, it's kind of okay, even though that has that risk to it? Is it actually even safe to try? Would you recommend, oh yeah, it's okay, go ahead and try to buy it? Or is that risk enough to deter people from not getting it?
I think if they're willing to put their money and their account on the line, it's really up to the player. Me personally, I don't think I could do that, because I spent so much time on my character and so much blood and sweat on this game just to give it up by getting banned in one day. All
right, Adagio, what do you think, man?
Yeah, if you're stupid enough to buy gil for real money, you're stupid enough to have your account hacked. That's just how it is. Sorry, that's how it is.
Okay, Samus, what do you think, man?
From my understanding of RMTs, I've heard that the transactions are actually very safe. From what I've been told, it's you input your credit card information and then you send your money to a PayPal, and that's it. Because there's nothing else that that they need from you except the money, because everything else is just you give them your server, you give them your server name and your player name, and then I don't know how they get to guild to you. Maybe it's Moogle Mail or they open trade with you. I don't know, but I think the only risk wouldn't. I don't even think your account is a risk unless SC catches you. I don't think it's a risk to being hacked. It may be a risk for them to see, holy shit, you ended up with 15 million gil out of nowhere. Okay, that's kind of suspicious.
Well, I mean, it's also a risk for your credit card too.
Yeah.
So you're giving your credit card number to this place that is actually doing something that's not supposed to be doing. Do you think your credit card's safe?
Well, if these guys are doing RMTing on this game, I can only assume they're doing it on other games. And if they're doing it on other games, then I'm assuming that they have a business. They're running a business, and they wouldn't be able to maintain this kind of operation unless they're doing something right. They're doing something to earn the trust of people out there. It's a business. I think we can all agree RMTing is a business. It doesn't only happen in this game. It happens in any other MMORPG out there, any big MMORPG out there. So if they're doing this across so many games, there's got to be like a network and a structure, probably rules, like I said, similar to a business that they follow. And if they're doing that, and they're professional about it, I really don't see the risk there.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like
I'm not condoning. Yeah. I'm not condoning. I want to throw it out there right now. I'm not saying do it. A lot of people always argue against it. I like arguing for it just because, to me, I don't really see a big risk, right? But you bring up a really good point with credit cards. Anything online, your shit could get hacked on eBay or Amazon or whatever it is, right? It could be anything.
Well, I work for a company that deals with point-of-sale systems.
Okay.
So I see this shit all the time. And a restaurant when you give your credit card to a restaurant or like any kind of retail shop, it sits in a system with that information there, and it's easily accessible if they get a virus on there. And people make a goal, because there's mom and pop shops out there that can't get proper security, firewalls, things like that. Correct. And they're going to lose your information.
They still process their stuff through their phone lines or their internet when they whatever it is they use, right?
Well, it's through internet, and that's the big problem right now. Is because it's on a computer. If it's through a phone line, it's not nearly as much of a risk. But if you're processing it through a computer, if you don't have the proper security with it, which most people actually don't, you could easily lose your entire business. Like, it will shut down a business. If I think there's a business not too long ago that got a $1 million fine because they lost a day's worth of credit cards. And I mean, they're gone. They're all their life dreams and everything just because of how easy it is to steal credit cards. But that's a different subject entirely. I'm sorry. I could speak to you probably for 2 days on that.
It's relevant. Well, it's totally relevant to our discussion here because the account, like your account being, that's where we started, right? Your account being at risk. It's at the risk of being shut down because of suspicious activity, but it's not at the risk of being hacked in any way by these R&T people.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's also times where, and people are saying kind of in the chat, it's always safe because you can cancel it. I wouldn't completely agree with that. I would say you lose that information, you have to reopen another credit card even. And so you go through all those motions and everything. But how much money do they make off with it, and how well does that make you look as a safe for credit card companies and everyone else of a buyer that's actually safe to give a credit card to?
Sure.
And so there's lots of other factors in it, and it's I would just say I would recommend to everybody watching right now, do not use RMT unless if Square comes out and says, oh, it's okay. Otherwise, you're probably going to get F'd in the A. But yeah, I agree that I can't get same thing with people cheating in Triple Triad. I can't get angry at them. It's just there. It's something they can do, and there's not a system in place that can properly prevent it. And that being said, I will say that the bans for RMT trading skyrocketed recently. For the last week, they banned 10,000 accounts, and that was permanent bans. And then they temporarily banned 64 accounts.
Ooh.
So
I gotta start bigger. I gotta pull this up on the big screen.
yeah, and I actually want to give credit to this real quick too, to the person. Let me.
What's the source of this?
Yeah, there's a Reddit post that popped up, and see, it's Reddit again, which comes out every once in a while with a nice little gold nugget. These guys, the guy's name is Odin Summon, and he just went ahead and threw it into a Google Doc. All the last, since they started with the RMT bans and all kinds of bans, and every single time they posted one, he made a big list of all this information and then put them on a couple of graphs. And it's actually really interesting because when you get into that, in the year for 2014, the total amount of bans they had was 81,960. Total bans so far this year is 73,970. So we're almost at the total bans they had for RMT last year within 3 months. And that's kind of crazy. So there's a couple of things that could be happening here. One is they are being more active with banning people. The other thing is there's just more stuff out there. And now with, I don't know about you guys, but when I log on, if I don't set myself to busy, I'm going to have 20 friend requests and 20 messages telling me I need to buy RMT as soon as I log on. Mm-hmm. And so it definitely seems like there's a lot more out there, but does that just mean that they have more people to pick from? I don't really know exactly what the data is telling us. I just know that there's more banning out there.
Yeah, maybe what Square Enix is doing is, as long as there are people buying Gil, there are going to be people selling Gil. So maybe Square Enix is working backwards and saying, well, if you eliminate the buyers, then the sellers might go away. And so maybe that's why we see the spike here. Where did this guy get this information from? I mean,
so
it's a
every single week, or not every week, it's just whenever they do a set of bans, they post it on their blog in Lodestone. And they say, this is how many people we banned, this is how many people we temporarily banned, this is how many people we've banned for other reasons. And, the accounts got hacked at some point, and that was one of the only times that they did other reasons. But mostly all of their banning is coming from the activity itself. And half of that banning, or like a third of that, is the advertisements. So it seems like they're going more after the people who are doing it than going back and doing the people who are advertising it. Because, if people are advertising it and then they get people to get into the activity, then they can pluck those guys off, then ban the advertisers afterwards. But I don't know if that's really what they're thinking or what the whole deal is, but it was real interesting to look at this data, at least over the last few months. So what do you think on it, Gilly?
Them actually proactively looking and banning accounts and stuff. I actually am curious on like how much of that number is the people who are basically harassing us every day, adding us and telling us every single day.
So if you look at the graph real quick, I don't know if you're looking at it right now, there's the red line and the blue line. The blue line is the people who are advertising and spamming you. Okay. The red line is the people who actually, I think, are doing it.
Who actually are buying and stuff?
Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting to see that too, because you can see a spike somewhere in like February where they had a ton of people who were banned for the activity and not really any change in the people who were advertising in it. And I know I've noticed it, and I'm assuming everyone else in the chat and you guys have noticed it, but the amount of people who are advertising to me has increased by at least tenfold over the last couple of months. And I don't know why that is, if more people are just getting into the game to do that, or if it's they found the loophole and then they're just abusing the hell out of it. Is it something you think they can even prevent at this point? And I'll ask you, Adagio. I haven't heard from you a little bit.
Well, just the sheer number of RMT spams, it is kind of, although it sucks, it is kind of a positive sign. I mean, obviously the game is doing well, and I mean, there wouldn't be that many RMT spammers if the game wasn't doing well, because there wouldn't be any people buying the Gil, so there'd be no reason for them to be spamming. So obviously with the amount of people posting up, hey, buy my Gil, that just means that the game's doing well and kicking. And obviously we're going to get more spammers pre 3.0, and probably right after 3.0 there's going to be a huge spike of people spamming this. Mm-hmm. As far as preventing it, I honestly don't see a way with them having the trial accounts. I'm sure they just jump in the trial accounts, level up to where you can start whispering people, and then whisper once. I heard that they whisper once and then essentially delete the character, make a new character, level back up, whisper once, throw the character away. I mean, I don't really see how you could prevent against that, honestly.
I mean, yeah, you have to get into their IPs and track that stuff down, but with all the, you know, what do you call it when you go into someone else's, you go through a different path? It's not turret, it's,
Oh, proxy?
yeah, you proxy. You're kind of proxy servering stuff, and so you can't really trace it as well. And so it's hard for them to track that kind of stuff down. I mean, I think that's the most annoying part right now, and that's what turns most people off is just the spam itself. And they have a filter, to my knowledge. SE has a filter set up to kind of catch people when they, you know, send these messages and just automatically delete the message. And they stay on top of it, but now they're getting past those filters without any kind of issue at all. Samus, I haven't asked you too much on it. What do you think about the data so far?
Yeah, I was just looking at it right now in my silence, and you know, you brought up a good point. They banned a lot of people in February, and now we're getting blasted with a lot more tells.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just me looking at this data. Maybe it's like a cause and effect kind of thing, where in February there's way more people buying Gil, so the people that are selling Gil now are just like, hey, you know what? If there's a market for it, there's clearly a market for it, and let's just hit them harder. And so they're sending more tells, creating more bots out there, and you know, that's probably why we're getting hit. I agree with you guys. We've been getting hit a lot harder in the past couple of months with these tells, and so, you know, the thought had crossed my mind of why so much all of a sudden. And now that I see these RMT ban, this Google Docs chart that you linked to us, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy right now, and
yeah,
I mean, I can be okay with people buying, you know, it's their life. They can do whatever they want. If they want to buy Gil, they can. But I cannot stand getting spammed. That drives me crazy. And then I have to go busy. Then I don't get messages from anybody, and then I can't get invited to parties. I have to toggle back and forth. It's just a hassle. And I mean, maybe if they made it to where you can set, instead of busy, you're like friendly busy, and so all of your friends and FC members and everything can still message you, but not, you know, the people who are going to spam you. I mean, there has to be some sort of other solution for this.
Do you guys remember when they announced Heaven's Ward was going to get a release date or an announcement?
When they actually released that was
PAX, right?
PAX was the date.
Yeah.
PAX was when they told us.
When was PAX? Was it in February?
About a month ago.
I was trying to think maybe like when they announced Heaven's Ward and the release date, maybe they were trying to just, you know, try to push hard for the Gil selling for Heaven's Ward, maybe.
That was Gold Saucer. Gold Saucer did it.
I hear that baby in the background, Gilly.
Yeah, it's my niece.
She's pretty upset about gold sellers too, or Gil sellers. But yeah, no, that's probably what it is. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV is getting a lot of hype, and so they're just getting more people out there to sell more stuff. And God, man, I feel so bad for Square right now having to deal with it. But I really think that would be a simple solution if they had some. Maybe it's more complicated in the coding than I think it is, but if you just flagged it to where you can only get messages from like your friends list or your FC, then that would eliminate a lot of pain that people are experiencing with it, and then that would reduce the amount of people who are spamming because it becomes more useless.
What about other games? How have other games, you know, that you guys played? I've played WoW in the past, but I mean, I played it a long time ago. But, you know, is there any other games out there that might be dealing with this kind of stuff? I mean, I'm thinking EVE Online, because that's a huge online game that's been established for so long.
EVE, I think that's just part of the game. Money transfers to like,
sure.
Yeah, that you can buy subscriptions with in-game currency.
Sure.
So that's how they do the transfer rate for everything. And I don't think they're as strict about it, but I don't know because I never got into EVE. I do know WoW, you know, has its own problems and it'll get spammed, but I think WoW has just a better system for it. I don't know what that system is. They're probably secretive about it because if they make that more available to the public, then people might find more loopholes in it. But they have a pretty good system for it. When I did play WoW, I didn't get spammed with gold sales all the time.
Right.
Some of the most creative stuff that I've seen is way back in the day. They would create a whole bunch of characters and kill them all to spell out an address. A website address.
Yeah, I remember that. I've seen that before.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you kind of had to deal with that, the corpse web addresses, and like they did other things, and it was shouts and tells, but I don't know. I wish I knew what their magic solution was because Square could definitely use it at this point. Gilly, Adagio, do you guys know of other MMOs and kind of how they handled it?
I don't know how they handle it so much, but I know of other MMOs that have had the problems, especially free to plays. They're riddled with guild sellers. I was playing Arcage for a little bit. I downloaded the free trial, and the whole chat was just guild spammers. Right, one message right after another, after another, and after another. It was stupid, retarded. I think that they ended up doing the same thing like Final Fantasy did, where you had to be a certain level before you could start shouting. But then, right as soon as they got to that level, the shouts started beginning again. So, I mean, it's really hard to, because they always have ways to get around it. It's hard to put in parameters of how do you restrict this person from shouting versus this person from shouting just because they have crap letters for their name. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not actually a real person. So I mean,
well, if you've seen some of the NPCs that Square names,
the Rogadins,
they all kind of make sense too.
Or look at a Murloc name.
Oh, Murloc.
Look at any Murloc. Any Murloc could be a kill spammer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess Gilly, go ahead and I'll get your input first before I say anything else.
Okay. Well, when I played a lot of Korean MMOs with Jen, in order to make my account to actually play on a Korean game, you had to have a relative who has a Korean social security number and a Korean phone number. Otherwise, you couldn't get into the game.
Yeah.
Which was actually a really, like, Blade and Souls was one in Korea. Like, if you want to get into the Korean servers, you have to have a social security and a working Korean phone number, because the GMs will call you to verify that you're actually in Korea.
Huh.
And it's to prevent money, or pretty much gold sellers and stuff. When I used to play Terra on the US side, it was free to play, and basically the spam was just terrible. And then I went to the Korean server. Oddly enough, there was a lot less because they demanded the phone number and the social security. So
yeah, and there's a way that you can, if they had a server for it, you know how they do the code on your phone, so you have that code that repopulates every 30 seconds or something, and that's how you put in your, that's how you log into your account. There's another security measure they can do where you actually get text the code.
Yep.
And so if they made that mandatory, instead of using, whatever device, and that's kind of a thing too. How do they get around that? How do they get around not having that security code? Don't they have to have it? And how do you have multiple accounts out there that are constantly remade and using the same devices to get the codes? I don't know. What do you think, Samus? Can you brainstorm on it?
Sounds like, well, for multiple accounts, it's just as easy as deleting a character. Like you said, level to 15, blast your tells, and then delete your character and do it again.
And so they don't recognize, like, hey, they're using the same device to get the code from, or?
Well, that may or may not be an issue for them. Like, how would they figure that out? Maybe people like creating alts, right? People like creating alts. It's a possibility. I don't think there's a limit, is there? Even if there is a limit, it doesn't matter because you're deleting characters after you send your tells.
Yeah.
The security code thing is not, to my knowledge, the security code thing with your cell phone or with the key fob that they send you, the one-time code. Are you talking about that, the one-time code?
Yeah, the one-time code.
That's not mandatory.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it for this game.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was. Maybe if they did make that mandatory, then, because if they make that mandatory, then you're limited on how many accounts you can kind of make, and if the same account is getting, and once you ban that account and that device that they're using to get that code, maybe that's something. Like they say, if you can't get this code from that device anymore, but I don't know how all that kind of works. I just know that I would think that if you had to send a text to you every time you logged into the game, then that would almost completely eliminate it, wouldn't it?
But that's a whole nother set of issues then for them. It'd be security issues, people losing their cell phones, people losing their key fobs.
Mm-hmm.
Those are existing issues right now with the one-time security code.
Right.
People have asked me in my channel, I lost my cell phone, I lost my key fob. How do I deal with this? Well, then you got to call Square Enix, explain to them the situation, and then there's probably, a shit ton of security hoops that you got to jump through to make sure that you're you.
Yeah.
Right? So then, are you trading in one issue for another? I mean, this gets off topic with RMT, but that's where I would see that.
Oh yeah, and Chunky here is saying that every time you read down the app, it's a different serial key to it. So
every time you open it, because I use the app, I use the phone app.
Yeah, I use it too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, how it works is you get one code that never changes. Everything's assigned one code. And so basically you put that one code there, and then it does some sort of crazy calculation depending on what time it is. And then it produces that short code that eventually disappears. And that's how you have that security measure. And so since it's always the same back-end code, and they might not tell you what that back-end code is, I know that you have to input something when you assign it to your account to say that this is the code that I'm using, and that's how they match it up, is they have an algorithm on their end that matches up with the algorithm on your phone.
Right.
And so I guess if that algorithm, like that number or whatever they did, changes every time you re-download it, then that makes sense that you can't. But you can't do that with cell phones. So if they limit it to just cell phones sending you a text message every single time, so you can't really. I don't know. I can sit here and talk about it, but I don't work in their security department, so I could be just BSing this entire thing.
Or you could be innovating for your company right now,
yeah,
dude.
my company.
There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
You can credit us. You can credit MogTalk saying that your company now is the most secured POS system out there because we figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a pretty secure way. I mean, no one can really log into your account because they have to have that extra secret super code and that algorithm to do it.
I do know that there was talks of some people actually being able to hack people's accounts even though they had that key, because that code is active for a short time. I mean, it's active. It's not like, oh, you put it in, it's now inactive. It stays active for a little bit of time afterwards. And I know right around the time of launch, there were people hacking accounts even though they had the one-time password. I'm not sure exactly how they did it, but I do remember reading about that happening.
Well, look at it this way. There's also a security precaution for that too. If you try logging into an account on a different computer that doesn't have the same matching IP address, it won't let you. It'll notify the person with this email saying like, hey, your account has been trying to log on in a different area. Is this you? Verify. Because when Jen has to bring her character to Utah from Canada, she has to do that almost every single time. So.
But I mean, if they have your account information and then if you use the same email, password, blah, 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 then they can log in and authorize it themselves. And then, like Chunky saying, if they keylog you long enough and get your code, your one-time password, and enter it in as soon as it's active, then they can actually get onto your account that way. But that's only if you're with a person that uses the same username and passwords for everything you have.
Yeah, I think they would have to have access to the algorithm that they use too, which probably isn't that hard to get if you really search for it or you tried to break it down and reverse engineer it, but you'd have to be pretty good to do it. And I'm sure there's people out there that are pretty good. So
Lizard Squad.
All right. So going on, I'm sorry, I've almost lost myself here. We talked for this quite a bit, a lot longer than I thought we would. Let's see.
Are we on any timeline? Like, do we turn into a pumpkin if we exceed a certain timeline?
We aren't horribly on a timeline. I leave a lot of room. The only timeline I have is when Better Call Saul comes on. Then that's the end of the timeline. But I have hours before that happens for me because I'm in the West Coast time. So, well, let's just change it over to Cash Shop because I think we can actually get a lot of good conversation off about that as well. And I think my personal opinion is that the two have a relation. They actually, it's like apples and oranges almost. It's just a little bit different. One is going to Square, like I said earlier. The other one's going to just some random company. So tell me, let's start with you, Gilly. What do you think the Cash Shop's good or bad, or what's your just opinion on it?
It kind of swings both ways, to be honest. With us being streamers, we like to give back to our viewers. Hit certain amount of followers, or just you want to donate something to the community. Buy them.
You do. I hate my viewers. Fuck them.
Hey, I donated to you.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay, everyone but you then. Everyone but you.
But yeah, like it'd be pretty awesome to like give back to the the people who really are going to use it, not turn around and resell the stuff. You know.
You're talking about gifting, the ability to gift
gifting
stuff. Right?
Yeah, I mean that's another function within the cash shop is that, and that's a good point. I wanted to bring that up too. Is when you can, it's awesome for streamers. You can gift people stuff that are just there. You're like, hey, if you are watching my stream now, I'm going to randomly give one of you guys a minion from the cash shop, and that's pretty awesome. And the way you do that is, you get a code from them, and then they go back and redeem that code on their account. But let's flip the coin on that. Now you can sell stuff to people for real life money, right? So you can say, hey, I just bought this minion for $5. I'll sell it to you for 1,000,000 gil. It's the same thing. You're trading money for gil.
Just as long as there's a, well, maybe who's not to say, like, if they gift it, maybe it'll be untradeable, you know?
Right. Well,
but you could still get the money first and then gift it to them.
Does that hurt anyone though? When you're,
really,
no, it doesn't.
Then
hurt
we're back to
anybody. Yeah, I mean, we get into that
kind of
same
back into the discussion as gil, right? Having excessive amounts of gil, whether you earned it legitimately or not.
Yeah, but I mean it just goes into that territory again, and I think that's just something where Square is kind of okay with that as long as it's in their territory, where they're doing things and getting the profit from it. Because I mean, someone can come and buy 20 million or 20 minions from their cash shop. Square is still getting 20 minions worth of money, even though that guy's using it to buy gil in the game.
Yeah.
So Adagio, what do you think? Good things, bad things about cash shop?
I mean, as long as it's all glamour stuff, I don't like that it's there, but I understand why it's there and accept it. Because I mean, I would love to have all the minions, and I mean, I don't have the money exactly to throw out and pay for all of them, but I mean, like I said, as long as it's glamour or minions, whatnot, then I don't really see a problem in it. And gifting, yeah, that's good as long as people don't abuse it for in-game gil, in-game real money outside of the game world. I know like Evolved and doesn't have a problem with it, but I have a problem with that. But I mean, yeah, it's awesome if you use that to gift for like rewards for streamers and stuff like that. That's always great. But yeah, like I said, as long as it's all, as long as it's not pay to win, I don't have a problem with it.
All right, Samus, man, what do you think?
I'm with you there. I don't see anything on the gift shop, on the cash shop, that's going to be pay to win, and I don't think we ever will. So if people want to buy stuff, or if people want to give a minion, people want to give away if they're crazy, which some people might be, go for it. There's nothing that improves your stats. There's nothing that makes you a better player. Hold on, let me just make sure that there's nothing. Actually...
I mean, the only thing that you can really say is you get the teleport ring from buying the platinum stuff. But do you get that for the free one too? I don't know. The wedding.
Yeah, I think you get it I think you just get that as you get married. You can teleport to your spouse,
even if you get the free one.
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not married in game, so I don't know, but I think that's the way it is.
Sorry.
Married in real life, not in game. Can't find anybody to love me enough in game.
That's
I wish they had something like that in real life, like opposite though. Like if I'm by my girlfriend, like, I want to
get away.
Fuck out of here! I'm gonna activate my ring. Get the hell out of here! Take me fucking shopping at Victoria's Secret.
Oh, wait, hold on. You're against taking her to Victoria's Secret? I mean, do you just stay outside? Do you not go inside and watch her try on things? Or
I have no problem with going with her. The problem I have when I go into Victoria's Secret is when there's other shoppers there, there's other girls there. Some of them are less than shapely, less than flattering.
a little bit older than you like, maybe.
Maybe, but the point is, like, my mind goes to a really dark spot where if I see somebody picking up a pair of thongs or a bra, then my brain automatically goes to the point where I wonder what she actually looks like in there, and then I start to picture it, and then I get disgusted, feel a little bit guilty, and tell my girlfriend, "Listen, babe, I'm gonna have to leave." Not because I feel guilty, but because I'm disgusted with myself.
No, I get it.
but with the cash out stuff, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. If people want to buy stuff, if people want to even use it to abuse the whole gil thing, getting gil in game, like me personally, I know you guys are opposite of me with that, but I mean, it's fine. Like do what you want with it. You got the money. Go ahead.
I'm actually all for RMT because, to be honest, when we were doing the sale runs for Second Coil, it actually helped me build up my accessories and stuff too for crafting. So
Sure, and going back to RMT, the only disservice an RMTer is really doing is for himself. He's the one depriving himself from that experience of winning, the experience of struggles, and the satisfaction of struggling through content with a team or through pugs. That's the disservice. That's the true disservice. That's the shame I see, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, and do you think that Square's trying to be like the father figure, saying no, you can't do that, and that's why he's not? That's why Square is not letting people do it as well, because it kind of takes away from the value of the game, and they don't want people to do it even if they choose to do it. Or do you think they just treat your players as adults and let them do what they want to do?
If they're really trying to do that, I think they're wasting their time, because that percentage of players who are going to stop playing the game after they buy their runs, I think that's a negligible amount. Given that they're implementing cash shops, which I'm assuming they're going to grow more. They're going to do more stuff with cash shop. They're going to do something more creative with the cash shop. I'm thinking that might be negligible. The people who actually stop playing, right? Because you brought up a really good point where once people they buy their runs, they get through turn 13, they see all the cutscenes. That's it. The game's over for them. There's still a subscription to be had there until they finish their game. But how many of those people are actually not playing the game anymore? I think again, it's probably not that many. Right? For them to put effort into it, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of think with the subscriptions they did a decent job, because not a lot of people are going to turn off their subscription for 3 months while they're waiting on the Heaven's Ward. They're probably just going to stay on there so they can do their lottery every week or something,
Sure,
so I think it's all going to work out in the end. But I'm going to just kind of put a point that a lot of people are commonly saying about the cash shop and why they don't like it is they don't think it's okay to block people who already pay monthly. They feel since they already put their $12, $15 every month to the game, they shouldn't be blocked from any content and have to pay more money for that. Samus, what do you think?
The Eternal Bond specifically? Like
No.
people who are...
Well, the Eternal Bond, like minions, anything, just cash shop. They think that those things should be acquired somehow in the game since they already pay every single month for it. I necessarily don't really agree with that, but, I have different opinions. What do you think, Samus?
Where's the focus? Where's that dude's focus? If he's complaining about not having a stupid little minion or a friggin' egg hat or a friggin' ring, like, where's your focus in the game, dude? You're playing the wrong game. You're focusing on the wrong things. Like you do your crafting stuff in game. Do your in-game crafting stuff if you don't want to raid. Get the minions, farm the minions in game. Get the stuff that you are able to keep that you can get, and don't get upset because somebody bought the minion that you don't have access to. It's not relevant. It's changing. I think it's about changing your mentality of figuring out what your focus is.
All right. Gilly, what do you
Why?
think, man?
It doesn't make sense.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I'm all for you, Gilly. What do you got, man?
Exactly what Samus said, to be honest. Like, I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm kind of neutral between it because if it's gonna save me, it's not my end game. Cash Shop's really not my end game. I want to spend the time. I want to spend the hours grinding stuff versus having to make my character look pretty. Or I have to have a collection of minions, or I have to get married in the game. It's just not my end game, to be honest. So it's really not my category to sit there and judge it, to be honest.
All right. Well, so you think that, since they pay every single month, it doesn't really matter that blocking content, it's not really, I guess you can call it content, but it's really just minions and everything. You think that's not really a valid point to say, hey, you pay every month, so you should have access to everything?
Yeah, because like when they released the minions, like the Scion's minions, I saw them and I was like, those are really freaking cool. I don't need them.
Right.
Because they're just going to sit in my little options menu, or even the Odin mount. The Odin mount was there and I was like, it'll get played out within a week. And I just saw it and I'm like, I'm done. That's something I don't want to pay for, to be honest.
As somebody who bought the Odin mount, I can confirm that. I bought that friggin' thing for $24.
Wow.
And it was cool for all of like one day. And then after that, I went back to Mount Roulette. Instead of pulling out the actual mount.
Well, on that note, are you guys all using your Magitex right now?
No.
No? You're not using
Use
it?
my bear.
I used it for like 5 seconds, heard the Terror song, I was like, that's pretty cool. Now I'm back to my Chocobo that I worked really hard to make.
I got you.
Not roulette.
You just roulette it, man. Yeah, I'm still sticking with the Magitech until I get bored. I don't really even care. To me, it's just like point A to point B. So I'm the guy who'll drive like a $2,000 car and be content. You know, I don't need to have anything too fancy.
Gets me to point A to point B.
Yeah. Adagio, so do you, just real quick, do you think it's a valid statement saying since you pay every single month, you should have access to everything?
As far as the cash shop goes, I mean, it's extra stuff. It's not content that's in the game. It's extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it comes to the point of like, well, I pay every month, so I deserve to have the soundtracks. I mean, people pay to get the soundtracks. That's content technically, but if it's extra, so you have to pay for that. Right. I pay every month, so I want the physical collector's edition. I mean, it's just like at that point, it's like, you know, it's extra stuff. So your subscription fee gets you in the game, and that's it. I mean, yeah. All that extra stuff, if you want to get it, that's on you.
I was going to follow that up with another question, but you guys all seem kind of on the same page. I was going to say, do you think that content from the cash shop should be attainable in both in-game and in the cash shop, or only one or the other? If you have stuff in the cash shop, should that stuff not transfer to in-game, or should they still have the ability to grind their way with Gil and everything and buy it themselves?
Well, one nice thing that's kind of referencing over to Guild Wars 2, what they did there, they had their cash shops where you could essentially, the cash shops had their own currency to where you could buy that with in-game currency, or you could buy that with real-life currency, and then use that cash shop currency to buy whatever you wanted in the cash shop. I mean, yeah, that tended to also help with like real money trading. Oh, I'm putting money in, I'll sell this in-game, this cash shop currency to you for in-game Gil, but I mean,
they do that with MOBAs too. MOBAs, they have 2 cents.
Oh yeah, MOBAs are big. Well, most MOBAs are free though, right? And then they say, hey, if you want your character to look cool while you're poning some noobs, then go ahead and give us some money.
Yeah, either play a lot or give money. That's right.
Yeah. Gilly, you got some thoughts you want to add on to it?
Yeah, technically the stuff they put in the cash shop has been stuff from previous events. So if you spent the time and actually do the events, then it's kind of your own fault if you just sat there and, you know, played with your thumbs and stuff. Mm-hmm. But because most of the stuff like that minion they have up right now was in last year's Little Ladies event.
Yep.
If you did it, pretty much you got a free minion.
What about these other minions? Jistola, Ida, Papalimo?
I think those are all cash shop.
Yeah,
those are all cash shop only.
And that's another thing, you know, with the Valentine's Day stuff, a lot of the stuff, like cosmetic stuff that you could get was only from cash shop. You couldn't get it from the in-game event. And I think there was a handful of people who were upset about that. But, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page with you guys. It's, you know, if they want to make some more money, then it's not a big deal. It's not going to... I'm not a cosmetic person with the in-game character. I don't care. I'm a row, and I'm happy about it. You know, I don't need it to look fancy or pretty. I run around with my Moogle helm, and I don't need anything else. But what do you guys think? And I'll start with you, Samus, on just this question. Do you think cash shops help the game? It's like, do you think it provides something to the game, like brings more money in for Square so they can do more with the resources, or is it just another way that they can kind of milk people?
No, I don't think of it as milking people. I think it's a good alternative for people out there who want something different. There are non-raiders out there. You know, there are people who want they want to look good. They play for the glamour. Mm-hmm. And this is just a way to appease them, because then when they're buying stuff from the cash shop, they got some unique stuff on there that I'm pretty sure I will never ever see on my character. A pristine egg ring. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I would never have any use for that on my character. Right? Yeah. But somewhere out there, there's a dude who wants to look like an egg, or insists on having an egg on his finger for some reason.
Yeah. I didn't even know rings showed themselves for the longest time until that wedding happened, and that was the first time I actually realized that.
Yeah, the first one I saw, the dude had a glove on, so we didn't get to see the ring.
Yeah. I did that too. I had a glove on. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, but you know, it reaches a different audience. Again, probably not the greater majority, but every little bit of income helps. Personally, I bought stuff from Cash Shop. I bought the mount. Which lost its awesomeness in the first day, and then I kind of slapped myself thinking, $24 on a mount that, man.
Yeah.
But the other thing I bought was the paint, the dye.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I bought that just because it appealed to my vanity. I wanted my character to look a certain color, so I bought I bought the dye.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I hurt it. I don't think I hurt anyone, and I gave SE some money, and everyone wins in the end.
Yeah, I can kind of go with that. And real quick before we continue, how are you guys doing on time? Because I got more time and lots more stuff to discuss. But if you guys are running on a time limit, I can trim down a couple of things here.
I'm good.
You good? Samus, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So anyways, I wanted to get Gilly's...
Gilly doesn't matter.
No. I know Gilly's good for the run. So Gilly, what do you think it helps the game to have the cash shop?
Yeah, I mean, just as long as I know my money is going back towards the game, the game we all love, the game we're all playing. If they're providing us with more content every 3 months, I'm fine with that. Just as long, $5, if it'll help push more content, give us new stuff, new story, minions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right.
I won't do it, but I'm all for it.
I mean, I think there's actually been, they've stated that the money has actually already helped the community. Not our community per se, but I know that they did say they're adding data centers in different parts of the world to help them out, specifically from the funds raised from the cash shop. So that's automatically showing that it is helpful to the game right there.
Well, if they wanted to expand on that, if they wanted to say, everything you buy within this week is going to go towards this cause, and it's video game related cause, I think that would push way more people to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, it's also one of those things that's kind of hard for bigger companies to say, hey, if you spend money, you're going to help us do things better, and this is because they want to always assume when you give them money that it's helping them build their company and do stuff better. So I do think that they can run charities, though. And say, hey, this week I'm going to do everything that you guys buy from the cash shop, 100% of that goes to breast cancer awareness or something like that. And that would be amazing. And I don't know if they'll do that. They might do something like that in Japan, but it really kind of depend on the North American team to kind of go out there and promote that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I don't know. With corporate, if they say, hey, you guys spend all this money, and depending on how much money we get, depends on how many more data centers you guys get, how do you think that the player base would take that?
They could upgrade. They could upgrade their data centers.
Yeah. So would people be happy about that, or would they be like, "Screw you! You need to do it anyways. I'm already giving you my $15 a month." Whatever it's this phrase.
Yeah, that's probably gonna depend on the individual. It's for me, to buy more stuff from the cash shop. I buy the dye. It's $5. Sure, why not, right? And again, it doesn't hurt anyone. And I think for the people that are more so fans, I don't want to say hardcore fans or diehard fans, but they're more than the average player with stuff that's actually vested in Final Fantasy 14, streamers maybe, or podcasters like yourselves. I could see people doing that. And again, it's to make your character look a little bit cooler or something a little bit more unique with a minion or this stupid egg ring. I keep flipping at this freaking egg ring, and I can't help but wonder who buys this.
Just turn it off. Just turn it off. It's okay, man.
There's lots of stuff on there. I'm like, I would never buy this because I don't think it even looks remotely good. Like Peach Blossom earrings. All right, now I have flowers in my ear that people will barely notice. It'll be like 3 pixels, and while I'm killing Bahamut, no one's gonna care or see it. I don't know.
Then you'll have those OCD people clipping issues.
Oh, those clipping issues are out of.
The tail doesn't come out of the right hole in the armor. SE, fix it now.
Or the erection people get when they get the Jester outfit from what was it, the I-90 stuff from
Black Mage.
Oh yeah,
Black Mage stuff where if you're a
Makote tail sticking straight up in the air.
Straight up in the air is odd. Okay, so the other question I kind of have on this is there anything that I don't know if you guys have a strong opinion about it, but is there anything that they're doing wrong that they could do better with the cash shop? What could they do? Should they improve it or anything? And I'll start with you, Samus. Do you think there's anything that Square could do with the cash shop to make it any better?
I have a confession. I just bought those Peach blossom earrings.
Oh,
like
okay.
right.
You
Just
didn't
because
buy
I
the
have a
egg
thing.
ring?
No, not the egg ring. But I have a thing for cherry blossoms. So like when I saw this, I'm like, oh, when you
Yeah,
mentioned it, I'm like,
Actually, I have to
Nice.
agree with you. I farmed the crap out of those trees while that thing was still active. You should see my house. It's just cherry blossom trees all over the place.
yeah.
Jeez.
I have a thing for them outside, affinity for cherry blossoms outside of video games. But to answer your question about the how to make it better, I think just throw more cool stuff on there. More cool stuff, whether it's dyes or really cool looking items like these earrings that I just bought for $3. Oh my god, I just spent $3 on
No,
those
so barely
earrings.
noticeable earrings.
Your contribution is going to erect new data centers around
Yeah, I'm
the
sure
world.
50
Yeah.
cents of that at least is going to a data center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel better.
Gilly, are there any improvements that you could recommend to make it any better if they needed to make it better?
Probably just add more stuff, like Samus said. Like, honestly, I'm a sucker for hairstyles. Every time there's a new patch, I always have to go check the ends and change my hair. I don't know what it is. It's a weird addiction. Once you change your hair once, you're always going back and like, okay, I can look cool this time.
It's a weird vanity thing, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like, for us, we say, oh, appearance doesn't really matter, but like when we're doing nothing, it kind of does because we have nothing better to do. So what are we gonna do? Oh, let's go make our character look more awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm kind of with you guys too, except for I don't buy anything from Cash Shop and I never will. But other than that, I agree with you guys. Natasha, what do you think, man? Is there anything that they could add? If they had to add one thing to the Cash Shop that will make you buy something, and no matter, there's nothing that they could put a price, like it would be $50 and you would still buy it. What would that be, man?
That's a great question.
On the Crash Shop, wow. Wow, that is a really good question. I don't know.
Come back to him.
Okay.
We should go
Yeah,
round
come
table.
back to me.
All right.
Samus
Let's
wants
start.
that one. I think.
Samus, I think, has something. What do you got, man?
I was thinking something to do with Lalafell, something like Lalafell stew or like a super secret recipe cook. Make it Lalafell stew.
I want that. Yeah, make that one.
Nice. Okay. Adagio agrees with that. Gilly, what do you think, man? What would you spend like a ridiculous amount on in a Cash Shop?
Give me a Bahamut mount.
Bahamut.
Nice.
Or
That actually flies in 3.0,
an actual
right?
flying Bahamut mount.
Okay, so
That might not be too far off, man.
Yeah.
Like we could see that come. I could see that coming in Heaven's Word.
one of the things that I would probably want, and I would spend a lot of money on, is if they had a bunch of Moogles that were like flying above you with strings hanging down, and you could hold onto the string, and that was a flying mount. That would probably be something I would spend a lot of money on. That or
You wanted the fat chocobo with the rocket booster.
yeah,
on
that
it.
or that one. First suggestion was the fat chocobo with the rockets on the back of it that could fly you around. That would be pretty awesome.
I'm logging in the game right now. I'm telling you guys exactly what I'm logging into my game right now to get my cherry blossom earrings.
You just gotta get them and see how they look. I got you.
I just want to see what I blew $3 on.
Well, like I did have a good amount of discussion planned here just to relate the Cash Shop to real money trading, but I think we've done that. We've kind of covered our ground with that. We all kind of, or well, I know Samus for sure doesn't think that it's a big deal and that both of them are really, whatever. If people want to spend money on stuff in the end game, then it's fine. And so for our Gilly, sorry, I looked at your tag name there. Do you think that it's a valid point to relate real money trading and the Cash Shop?
Just going back to like the previous, like if it's going back to the game I love, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, but let's say it's real money trading. Do you think that's not going to go back to the game? I don't think in the end.
No.
But do you think that you could say to the player? I would say it matters just because of who you're giving the money to.
Yeah.
But when the person's buying the stuff, it doesn't matter who it is to them because they just want the stuff instantly and get that instant gratification.
Well, you also got to look at it this way too. They have to have a way of farming that gil, so they have to probably have accounts constantly botting, so they have to pay for a sub for that.
Yeah. So
Otherwise-
that's providing money for Square as well because they have to have that account. But I don't know all the back end stuff of that. I don't know how many accounts they own and how often they delete their accounts to renew and get another one as soon as they get banned. But
I have an idea.
Okay.
Those people who complain about cash shop stuff not being accessible,
Mm-hmm.
they should start selling gil in game
Okay.
so that they can use that money to buy cash shop stuff.
Yeah, stick it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way, everyone wins because they're finished. They're completing the cycle. They're not raiders. They're crafters, and if they're crafters, they can sell stuff for real money, and they can use that money to buy cash shop stuff, which goes back into Square Enix to create more awesome content for us. That's it.
Alright.
We fixed it. We fixed it.
There's no problem with real money trading or cash shops anymore. It's all completely okay, guys. Just so you guys know. The only thing that we want to eliminate is the spam. Once we get that done with, then we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, actually, we didn't cover. How do besides, do you guys blacklist them? You guys ignore them? Go AFK or /busy? Like, how do you guys deal with it?
I think the only real fix right now is going busy. There's because once you blacklist someone, it almost does nothing at all. It stops them for a few seconds, and you have another account already spamming you by the time you have them blacklisted. Gilly, what do you think, man?
I actually just started ignoring them. I think this was like during 2.0 is when my blacklist finally got full, and I was like, you know what, I just don't care anymore. And I just
let it happen.
Yeah, I actually used to leave my character at the FC house, and I used to never get any tells. Like, whenever they wanted to go raid, I'm like, all right, I'm going to teleport to Fallgord, and then the moment I get there, let's go in. It's like football. You're jumping out of trying to be spotted by a money seller or gil seller. So.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I did for the longest time. Right now, I just ignore them. Especially, the only ones that annoy me the most are the friend request ones.
Yes,
yeah,
I was going to say that exact thing.
They got to fix that system.
Evolving. That's them just figuring out the next step, right? Because that's relatively new.
Yeah. Adagio, what do you do to kind of get past them?
Gilly just stole what I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Essentially, I ignore them, and the worst ones are the stupid friend request ones, because you actually have to go in there, decline the friend request, and then sometimes blacklist those guys just because they're fuckers.
I've ignored it completely recently, and I've actually found that if you just let the friend request sit there, eventually I think it just disappears, doesn't it? And so it just cancels out the whole thing. But if you hit no to it, then you have to go hit no again. Like you hit no, then you have to go into your list, and then hit no again, then go down and say, no, I don't want this person to be my friend. I didn't
know that.
It's ridiculous. Like, I've sat there and then Gold Saucer, I see them kind of disappear after a while. I think there's like a timeout on it, like 30 seconds or 60 seconds, and then I don't think you have to do anything with it. So right now, I don't go to busy. I don't do anything. I just let it happen. And when I hear that little noise, I don't ever think anyone's whispering me. It's just a gold spam. So I don't even know if someone whispers to me anymore.
People are just bitching and complaining, like just making like a really big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people are really annoyed by it just because, I mean, it does kind of eliminate the whole message system because no one wants to pay attention to it anymore. And I think if they got rid of that, no one would care about real money trading anymore.
Yeah.
They'd say, all right, whatever, people do what they want to do. Have people in jail in China farm gold all day or gil all day. That's what they did in WoW, at least, is that they had, I think it was Chinese prisoners were playing WoW farming gold for them. And that's kind of a punishment.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that Chinese prisoners are farming gold for this.
You look it up. There's an article somewhere I read.
I'm gonna have to.
I mean, it could be like one of those Onion articles that just popped up, and I thought it was real, but no, it was. I'm pretty sure that was the case, and it was something that showed up on Reddit not too long ago. So then again, there's the validity. You don't really know if it's true or not because it was on Reddit. But let's see. The other point I was going to make, and I think we kind of covered it a little bit, was how gifting kind of relates to RMT, and I think we've already went enough into that. We don't really need to talk about it. So, do you guys have any final thoughts on these discussions before I jump into just a few bits of information about 2.55?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay, so Samus is completely...
No pay to win.
Yeah, no pay to win from Adagio. Samus says, do what you want, man.
Do what you want. Go buy more gil. Go buy more. I encourage people. No, I'm not saying.
Watch out.
I'm just saying, just do it, and if you get banned, then
it's
you had
not
it
your
coming.
fault, right?
You had it coming.
Yeah.
But to other people who are complaining about it, man, go complain about. There's other things to complain about this game. You're gonna complain about other people wasting their real money. Yeah. So that they can suck at a video game. That's what it comes down to. They suck. They're paying to suck. They're paying more money to suck because they're not learning the fights, and they're not learning content, and they're not learning their jobs properly.
Yeah, and Gilly, you're kind of just in the middle between it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say I'm completely against RMT just because I know it's going to screw somebody over. But then again, everybody's a big boy. They can do what they want. I'm not going to tell someone to go out and stop smoking weed because it's illegal in their city or whatever.
How dare you?
Yeah. They can do whatever they want. They're big boys. So
That's a conversation we should have.
a conversation about
If I can't change your mind.
on your podcast, I will come on and we'll discuss that.
We're going to talk about 2.55, but now we're talking about this.
Now we're talking about pod instead. So with 2.55, just real quick, I want to do a quick rundown. Who all has completed the story? Was it just was it the three of us, Gilly, Adagio, and myself, has completed it, and you haven't, right, Samus?
I haven't. No.
Okay. So tonight we're not going to talk about details of the story, but I just want to know what your opinion is so far of how that story played out, Gilly. Do you think it was like, are you satisfied? I guess that's a good question to ask after a couple different things, but this one's just about the story.
I'm a little heartbroken. That's all I gotta say.
Gotcha. Well, I mean,
it's good. Don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
the content they provided with us this time around it's good. It did take some time to actually lead up to it, but the story was really, really amazing.
okay.
Them feels though. Them feels.
There's lots
We're
of
not gonna
feelings.
do any spoilers on. Like I
No
personally, I
spoilers.
don't care about spoilers, but it's
No spoilers. Just know that there's lots of feelings and heartache in it, and that's just. I mean, that was kind of the point. They actually announced that was going to happen too. Is that you see when they release their cinematic, you'll see why the Warrior of Light is so upset and so worn down, and so there's reasons for that to happen. Adagio, what do you think about the story? Just quality. Let's give a rating of quality. Do you think it was a good story, or was it?
Yeah, I think it was definitely some of the best that they have put out. I think that it did wrap up some of the random. It like tied together certain things that you didn't think would be tied together. It was like they meshed it up real nice, and like how they had just like this underlying current of how other things, like I said, things that you didn't think would coalesce did happen. It was like, wow, that happened. Yeah, I think it was really good, and I'm very much looking forward to 3.0 and see where the story goes from there.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys? I won't go into it too much more because it's hard for Samus to kind of put too much input on it at the moment since he hasn't finished it.
Oh, don't let me stop you guys. I don't mind. Like for me, spoilers. It doesn't matter to me. If you guys spoil it for me, I don't.
It's the viewers that I don't want them to have the spoilers for.
Viewers who
Who cares?
pays them any mind.
Oh, don't pay attention to him, guys. I love you. But no,
Yeah, everything I say is only, it's my responsibility. It's not a reflection of of MogTalk.
Yeah, no. I would say there's a lot. I want to have a segment later on in a few weeks or when we get closer to Heaven's Horde about the story. Because I think it's more important that we discuss it then. I just want to say that the quality's good, and if you haven't done it, to go ahead and do it. And it's dramatic because it's a drama, that the game is built on a drama. And I want to, in later terms, we'll also discuss kind of how it relates to other MMOs and how they deal with expansions, and I think that'll be an interesting topic. That's a discussion point. We're saving that for a discussion point later on. I'll keep that in my pocket. So one of the changes, non-story related, was, the Echo to Second Coil, the loot restriction on World of Darkness and Final Coil. How are you guys enjoying that? Are you guys out there farming now? Or you guys still only do your quick raids and no one really cares anymore about the gear? And I'll start with you, Gilly, since I know you guys have been doing T13 for a little while now.
All I gotta say is 5 bard bows.
5 bard bows.
5 bard bows and what? 4 bard chests?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. This was all simultaneously too. Like all 5 runs we went and killed. It was all bard bows.
All right. I'm sure
It's good. It's really fun, but it's just after working so hard, because that's a long fight for
Yeah.
sure.
T13.
Turn 13 is no joke. You wipe once and then having to clear it, and then getting the same loot 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row is ridiculous.
exhausting.
Yeah, Yeah.
Adagio, I'm guessing you're on the same page since you guys are in the same raid group.
Yeah, and plus he got the tank chest, and I'm mad at him now.
SOB.
I don't like you, Gilly. Go away.
Samus, how far into content are you past T12 and working on T13?
Yep.
So, have you been farming at all on the coils before T13?
Yeah, in the last week or 2 weeks was it? I think last week. I've been farming, working on Bard Best in Slot. I main Bard, so I've been working on Bard Best in Slot. So I'm there, and with turn 13, it's not that I can't. It's just I haven't, just because I haven't studied the fight yet, and there's a lot of pug groups out there. So it's just a matter of me learning the fight and then just taking a few practice runs and getting it down. You know what you were asking? I think you were asking earlier about the World of Darkness lockout being lifted.
Yeah.
I've heard or I've read stuff on the forums where people are complaining that every time they unlock a raid dungeon like this, there's so many bad players out there.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I don't get why people are so upset about it.
I can't.
It doesn't
I
make
think
sense.
it's actually more along the points just because they unlocked Final Coil, so the people that were going through World of Darkness and they get the Archmage's class to get their twines and carbon coats, the hardcore raiders are no longer doing World of Darkness anymore, so all you're stuck with is the people that aren't in-game raiding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's part of the game. That's part of the game. You know, there's no. I don't think there's. I just think it's weird to get upset at that.
Yeah.
But you know, it makes sense. Unlock all that. You know, let everyone farm it. Let everyone get ready for 3.0, and let people get caught up. It's caught up here. It's catch up time for the people who haven't made it through Final Coil, Second Coil.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of ask you guys a question, kind of carrying on that too. Is carry groups? Have you guys joined any groups that were carrying, or just pug groups that weren't with your normal raid? And how is that actually going for you? Are you working with other groups well as you work with your main group? And Samus, you said you don't have a core group now. Is that right?
I've never had a static group in 14. Not because I can't. I'm gonna throw that out there. Not because I can't. It's just that's just how I choose to play the game.
Yeah.
You know, like I was saying, it's more fun to play with random people every week, especially when there was lockouts. Like I'd play with a different group every week, different pug group, or sometimes if I get really lucky, then I'll cover a Bard spot. If somebody jump into a 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 8 static group. Those are usually easier weeks than the ones where I purely pug, like, a fresh pug with like people who have never played the encounter.
Yeah. Well,
so
I mean that's a good way to play. I actually I used to do this a lot. Is I would just stream joining party finders and joining T9 groups and stuff and just working with that because, even though it's annoying, it's really annoying to wipe on stuff that you know what to do on and you've got it down, but it's kind of fun too. It's a challenge, right? You're working with this group and you're trying. I guess that's mainly with people who kind of lead groups too. Is that you're leading this group through, and you're just going through those motions again, and you feel an accomplishment when you beat it again for the first time with these people. And I don't know. I kind of maybe I'm sadistic. I just like doing it.
And there's a difference between running and farming Final Coil and taking somebody through Final Coil for the first time. I think, that's me personally. Other people just don't care for it. But when I help somebody get through a Titan X or a turn 9, like it makes me feel really good because I know I was there before, and more so, it strikes me even harder because I pugged it. So it's way different. The experience with a pug and a static group is way different. I'm sure you guys can attest to it. Static group. I've had the chance of playing with static people as well. Like I said, when I join groups that are 7 out of 8 or 6 out of 8, it's a totally different experience.
Gilly, Adagio, have you guys worked with any groups outside your own since they released the content? Yeah.
We have been running through some people helping with their clears, helping them. I think we're trying to make a second raid group potentially for our guild, so we're throwing in like 4 or 5 new people that have never been in Final Coil, and we're just trying to teach them the ropes. And occasionally we'll still help people. We'll pick up random people every now and then and just do T5 clears, T7 or T9 clears for them, just for the fun of it. So yeah, we definitely run with a bunch of different people a lot of the times.
Yeah,
I've actually jumped into Terror Finder by myself. Like today, I actually went into a T10 so-called farm because that's what it said. Yeah, it was a trap. because I didn't realize at the moment I went in, I wasn't paying attention because I went to use the restroom. I came back, and then everyone was like spamming the chat. It's like, okay, cool. These guys know what they're doing. The moment we cleared T10, I got the 100 bonus soldiery. I'm like, holy that was a fucking pug. I was like, this is not a farm if I got that soldiery bonus. And then they tried going in with the same group to T11, and surprisingly enough, they did really well. So I'm actually surprised on how much people are starting to pretty much get better at the game, to be honest.
Yeah, well,
I've been surprised with like random groups for sure.
Yeah, well, my static is composed of mostly people I picked up, or well, at least it started out with, and it's kind of changed with a couple FC members and other things. Mostly just people I pugged with, and I was like, you're a good player, let's make a static. And then eventually we made a static, and it worked out like that. And I think that's an awesome way to do it, instead of just depending on your FC to give you kind of a carry to go with it. But I don't know. I'm glad they made the changes, though. It was definitely time for them to do it, so people have something to kind of work on. I know there's a lot of groups out there wanting to make sales now, 7-manning stuff. But Samus, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you bring up a really good point of, if you're pugging stuff and you don't have a static group, then you meet people and you just create a link shell and go from there. That's a really good point.
That's something I've done. It's like kind of like my FC that's not an FC.
Yeah, that's what link shells are for. Then I'm assuming you use link shell to communicate with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do that, and because I have a lot of people in my static that aren't in my FC, but that's not going to make me not want to raid with them. They're still good players, and they have their 5-man FC that they made with their friends that they're attached to, and I have nothing against that. So, but I'm about to go into a subject that two people are really tired of, and the other person maybe doesn't care about it as much because they don't do it. It's the triple triad challenge tournament changes, and so I just wanted to go over them briefly and what those changes were, and get a light opinion on it. I won't stick too long on it. So they increased the matches from 15 or 20 to 35. The point system was kind of reworked, so when you lose less points that you're worth, and then when you win, you gain less points that you're worth. And then the bonus MGP depends on the points earned, not the rank, in the end of the season. And then they're also putting in the Platinum Triple Triad account. And they're going to put it for anyone who is rank 1 to 10 and people who are over a point threshold. So this is kind of a way to make it to where number 1 through 3 is not it's not excluding everybody besides rank 1 to 3 with getting that rare card every 2 weeks, and people get a chance at getting that rare card through a different method. But it still kind of, I think, limits people in the terms that they're going to the top. Whoever is going to get a certain card, and then you get like more of a chance if you're in top 10. Then no one knows yet what the threshold is. We'll know tomorrow about getting that other platinum card. So, real quick, Gilly, Adagio, you guys are Adagio. Did you say that you're getting into triple triad, or did I imagine that?
Yeah, I'm getting into triple triad more often. Like I said, I do about 20 or 30 minutes of just trying to farm that lightning card. I didn't know that there was a tournament actually going on right now, or else I probably would have joined it. So I'll probably join in the next tournament and see what I can do, what damage I can do in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's still impossible for you to get, like, I think, rank 10 without cheating. I just don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got in rank 10 the first time without cheating, but that's because people didn't know how to abuse the system as much.
How do people cheat? I mean, I'm not aware of this, but how do people cheat in these tournaments?
So here's the basic idea. People will build alts, and they'll get them to a certain level, and then they just farm free wins, and whoever can build a system to get the most points off of the free wins that they earn gets the highest on the board. Because when you play an actual player, you're more likely to draw and lose than win. I have had so many draws with just other players that are at the same skill level. I'm not going to win every single match, but if you're going and getting people to throw matches for you and just give you free points, like some people will go and build up a character. They have one character and they just beat another character, I don't know, 34 times, and then they'll lose their very last match to one person. And then they just basically boost one character to the top of the board, and no one can compete with that, because when you play somebody else, you're not going to play with someone who's mega, has a super high reward point, because they don't want to play you unless if you're going to give them a lot of reward. So it's kind of do you understand that at all? Or am I just talking?
It's like win trade. It sounds like win trading.
Yeah, it's win trading. That's exactly what it is. And so that's the system. They just people will sell their wins to people, and other people will just build a whole bunch of alts and just work some sort of system with in their FC to get 1, 2, or 3 people a perfect win record with the most points. And you can't compete with that if you're playing legitimately.
Right. Gotcha.
So that's basically what people are doing, and it kills any kind of competitive urges people are having for the tournament. So I don't even know why it's called a tournament, because there's no brackets, there's nothing to it to me right now that resembles a tournament. It's not moderated in any way. So, they've added these extra factors in there to make it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more mud you have to go through if you're going to abuse the system, but it's not going to stop the people who are determined to do it. And so the one thing that I will say, though, is they added a couple things, like the lightning card was introduced from Adagio. You said you were farming the NPC for the lightning card, which was the first tournament reward. And so they're making a way for you still to get the card without winning the tournament. And that will reduce the cheating, because it doesn't matter as much. You still get lots of MGP for being at the top, but you don't get the super rare card that's impossible to get any other way. And the platinum cards kind of add a whole nother element too, because they give players who just get over a certain point threshold, even though if they're rank 500 or rank 20, they're still getting a chance at that platinum card as long as they have a certain amount of points. And so that does alleviate the issue, but I don't think they've really fixed anything. And Adagio, I wanted to kind of ask you your opinion on that, and if you think the changes really made any difference.
As far as like you can get the lightning card, or just the way that they changed at the tournament?
Well, I mean, the overall goal SC's trying to do is to stop people from poor sportsmanship and cheating and stuff like that. But you can't, unless if you put a system that forces them not to cheat, they're probably going to cheat, right?
Yeah, like you said last time, they just need to make who you challenge random. You can't challenge whoever you want to challenge. That's probably the best best way to deter cheaters, is just have everyone challenge random people.
Yeah. Gilly, do you have any opinion on it, or you tired of it by now?
I am guilty. I've gotten to the point where I'm really bored of the game right now, so I started doing triple triads again.
I gotcha.
I'm not participating in the tournament, though, because I already got my Shintoto card, and I'm done.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I was one of those cheaters. I played against my alt.
Fair enough. I mean, you can't blame anybody, because they're not banning people. They're not saying it's wrong. They say, yeah, we don't like you doing it, but they're not stopping people from doing it. So people who want to play legitimately, if they want to cheat to get up there and compare with the other people, there's no harm in it. Just go ahead and do it. If you really care that much, build a system and work your way up there, unless if they fix the issue or come out and say, hey, you can't do it. Samus, do you have any opinion on it at all?
I'm ignorant on this
gotcha.
topic, so I don't have any input on this.
Fair enough. The only other part, so I'll kind of add to this, is that I kind of think that what they're doing is more of in vain than anything else. A lot of people, I think, are kind of getting bored of Triple Triad and Gold Saucer and stuff that are already up there at the top with it, because they know the only way to win the tournament is cheating, and they know that you can't really get out there and find someone else who wants to be competitive with you and build some sort of meta strategy with it. No one really cares that much at the moment. So unless if they just trash the system and add like a ladder system in there where you can actually be competitive with it, I don't think that Triple Triad's going to take off much more than it really has, other than just the same thing as if you're collecting minions. You're collecting cards. And so you play with your friend every once in a while, like, oh, I got this card, I bet you don't have it, and that's it. But yeah, that's my little piece. I'll stop on it right now. We'll go on to the next piece. Samus, you haven't dealt with much with Gold Saucer, so maybe this is not a good part for you either. But Chocobo Racing, have you done any Chocobo Racing?
Yeah, I'm like rank 2 or something. I've done a couple of them. It's fun. It's fun.
Right
It's a way to pass time.
Yeah, I think Chocobo Racing is awesome to pass time. One of the issues they had was that people were abusing it and just kind of joining races, going AFK and walking away and getting, because you're going to get something just being in the race. So people would just kind of join it, walk away, and be done with it, and that's their farming. But they increase the reward amount that you get from 1st to 7th, and they decreased 8th. So you can't just walk away. You have to do something to kind of get up there and be with the other players. And I think that might be a good thing to keep more active players in the game, because some people will join And even though there's real players with you, which is kind of rare at the moment because a lot of people just play with NPCs, the players aren't doing anything. They're just kind of AFK and farming, and because they don't care as much until they get to the very end game with it and breed their Chuckaboo 5,000 times. Have you guys done any Chucko whoring, by the way? Have you made any baby Chuckabos?
Not yet.
No, I've only got to like rank 4, so no, I've definitely not gotten that far in it.
Yeah, I haven't bred them yet, but I am very excited for when they do introduce it to where players can actually breed each other's Chuckabos together, and then you can sell your Chuckabo on Party Finder. It's going to be kind of interesting.
This is my pedigree right here. Pay me billions of gil.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they, did a couple other things. They buffed some of the moves and the resistance, made some alterations to the tracks. But again, does anyone? I don't think Gold Saucer is sticking too hard right now. A lot of people are kind of getting bored of it, and I'm not as interested as I was when it first came out. I go there every once in a while and get my mini cactpod in the morning and chuck jumbo cactpod and burn through tournament matches at the moment. Samus, does Gold Saucer, you haven't even messed with it too much, but do you have any appeal for it right now, or do you think just kind of something that's there if you really got bored?
The glamour, the Setzer gear set, or the Gambler's gear set, like that's cool. That's something I would strive for. The Fenrir mount, yeah, that's something I would strive for, but not. I wouldn't actively go for it. I would. If there's nothing else to do, if it's 3 a.m, Party Finder's dead, Duty Finder's taking forever, then yeah, that's when I would probably mess around to try to earn 1 million MPG. Goddamn, 1 million MPG.
TT. So basically, what you got to do is you got to go fight the Imperial for 24 hours for a week, and then you can have enough to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're burned out on Triple Triad. You never want to do anything else with it again.
Yeah.
And Gilly, Adagio, you guys said that you were just now getting back into Triple Triad. Are you doing it just because it's a good way to make money, or are you just, it's something to do? And
something to kill time for me.
Yeah.
You can make money off Triple Triad?
Well, MGP. I'm sorry, MGP. Yeah.
But yeah, you could also make money off a Triple Triad.
Yeah.
How
Sell people your wins.
Sell people your tournament wins.
So I actually thought about doing that myself. Like, I'll boost my main all the way up to I'll get the most wins. And
34.
Then I'll sell my wins. It'll get the person the max amount of points.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Adagio? Are you Triple Triad pulling you back into Gold Saucer, or it's kind of just because it's there and it's the only thing that's really left?
Little by little, ever since they did launch the cards, I've wanted to collect. I'm just a huge collector, so I've wanted to collect them anyways. And then after that, like I said, after that first tournament dropped and everyone was cheating, I got really disheartened with it. But now that I can get Lightning Card and some other things, I'm starting to get back into it. I mean, like I said, I want to try the next tournament when it drops. I would have done this tournament, but unfortunately, I just didn't know what's going on at the time. So
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting me in there a little more, and I'm starting to do a little more Chocobo racing too.
Yeah. I still like it. I'm still grinding and trying to get the Lightning Card and get the Roulette achievement one, just to get them, because maybe one day they'll fix the tournaments or something, and I'll be back into it and actively beating people in Triple Triad, or trying to. I played some guy in the tournament earlier, and I was like, oh, this guy has 1-star deck. I got my 3-star deck. I'm going to crush him, and then he just beats me on it, and I was like, man.
Well, that goes back to because you're playing against the rules rather than the cards most of the time.
Yeah, there was a way that I could have won, and I wasn't playing as intelligently as I could. They made a couple other changes with gates and mini games, and they increased the MGP rewards on some of them. But it's like the mini games were worth 5 points if you made a perfect hit, and now they're worth 10 points. And if you win one match at Triple Triad with that Imperial, you're gaining 100 points. And so it's still a complete waste of time if you want to farm MGP. And it's just something like, hey, I bet I can hit the middle when you're bored. When you get knocked off the stage in any way to win blows, and you see that punch mini game right there, you're like, oh, I'll just walk over there and feel good about myself for something.
It feels like the only way to get that Gambler's gear or that Fenrir mount is to really hit that jackpot.
Oh yeah,
because farming 1 million, unless you're crazy like that.
Yeah.
which I don't know. Like, how hard is it to grind 1,000,000?
There was a
Like, you
post
guys have-
about it that someone got Fenrir Mount just by grinding the Imperial Soldier, and he did that in about 1 to 2 weeks.
1 week.
1 week.
Just
and, yeah.
1 week of triple triad solid.
Yeah, I think 8 hours a day or something like that at least.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same guy, same rules, the same strategy. And so
The
it's-
funny thing is, we have a
Look
guy on our
Samus's
server.
face. He's just like, holy
We have-
shit.
We have a guy on our server that actually heard about, like, dared his buddy to do it, and now he's actually doing it. Like,
That's-
he's doing that grind for it.
so
That sounds
much
like a fun stream idea. It could go really
It's-
well, or it could be really bad.
horrible.
Streamer challenge, no.
That's the worst thing that you could you learn nothing from that, right? So as a person, while you're doing that, it's the most mindless thing you could do because you're repeating the same actions and you're not improving. I don't know. I like to do something that I feel is going to be a little bit different each time I do it. And just grinding that one guy constantly and staring at the screen over and over and over and over again. I should just shoot myself. I don't know. I'm just not into it. That's why I don't get into crafting too, because I can't deal with. Although crafting gets a little bit more of a puzzle in the end, because you have like a move after a move after a move after a move, and you just have to do it right. Then you have to look up guides and build macros, and there's a strategy kind of to it.
Right.
But with beating, one soldier over and over and over again, I just can't see. I can't force myself to do it. I don't know. A jackpot's going to be the way for me.
I'm still stuck on that. A week? That's like 60 hours. How many hours is that?
That's
Assuming
at
8
least
hours a
40
week.
Hours, at least 40 hours. So 40 hours of your life completely gone. You learn nothing. You've done nothing except for stare at a screen. And, I mean, when you're playing the game, you actually have some sort of interactions. You're doing something. Your mind's working. But this is the exact same 20 seconds over and over again. Over the
And
course of it.
you get a Fenrir mount out
That's
of
going to
it.
be bored, like your own amount. You're going to be bored of it after everyone else starts to get it, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, and now I'm putting like dollars. Now I'm putting dollars to hours. Right? I bought that stupid thing for $24. This guy spent how many hours? Which meant he
50
effectively.
cents to $1 an hour.
Yeah. He might as well go farm Gil. Go to China, farm
Yep,
Gil, and sell
RT.
it. That you make more money. You make more money doing that.
Yeah. God, yeah, no, I don't think I'll ever do it. But, do you guys think that people are done with Gold Saucer now? They're kind of, it's just there. It's something you can do when you're really, really bored. But honestly, it doesn't make as much of an impact as everybody. I thought it was going to make a bigger impact on the game, where people were going to always be there and doing stuff in it. But really, I don't see more than like 20 people in there almost anymore. Maybe I do. I guess it depends in the morning, but
It's definitely gotten quite sparse. You go in there now, it's nothing like it was when it first launched.
yeah. I mean, and I guess that's not a bad thing. I just wish there was more to it. I wish it brought more of a draw, because you got 3 months of things to do, and if people aren't interested in Gold Saucer, what are they interested in doing besides just trying to be creative with what they're doing in the game to stay interested? So, Samus, since you haven't had much attention with Gold Saucer, and you don't have the urge to go with it, I guess you don't really you can't even really think of a good response for it. Or,
RMT. I just threw it out in chat.
RMT.
RMT. Yeah. I would RMT the shit out of Gold Saucer and buy all the vanity stuff
So
that
how
interests me.
I'm wondering how could. Oh, well, you would have to get someone to get on your account and farm for you, though, because MVP isn't tradable. So yeah, you'd pay someone in China to go in there and farm it for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a security risk I'm
Now,
not willing to take.
Here's the question: how much would you be willing to pay for that service?
Yeah. How much would you pay for that if you had someone that would farm the Fenrir mount for you? You wouldn't have to do anything. Just when you're asleep, they're farming it for you.
I don't know, let's Google this. Are we working with China's minimum wage or West Coast?
Yeah, I mean that seems like the best way to do it, right?
China?
I would say $2 an hour probably would add up. No, I think it would probably be $100. $100 to $200 is my range for how much it would be worth for that Fenrir mount.
Get the definitive answer right now.
Okay.
Googling how much minimum wage is.
Is that? Gosh, I don't know enough about China's economy to know how they deal with pay rates and minimum wage and things like that.
It's a bit random. Like because there's so many provinces. It's just because I have some experience when dealing in China, because my real life stuff takes me to China once in a while.
Okay.
RMT.
So, it's a Wild West. But yeah, I run an RP factory.
That's
Yeah,
why.
that's why-
That's why
that-
he's
yeah.
so pro RMT.
Yep. but it's like crazy. It's random. Like because there's so many provinces, so many cities, there's so many small towns. So unless you're going to a big city like Beijing or Shanghai or I don't know, Guangdong, every small place has its own rules, and with so many people, like how does how does government enforce that strictly on everybody?
Well, what do you think about just completely off topic about anything we're talking about? So, since you go to China every once in a while, what's your opinion right now? Do you like going to China, or is this something you dread every single time you have to go over there and do it?
Where I go, I usually go to Guangzhou province, because that's where all my vendors are, and I usually stay in the big cities once in a while. I've been invited to go see some of the factories, my vendors' factories. I don't really have interest in going there just because I think my time could be put more towards buying while I'm there or finding new vendors. But in general, I'd say we have a lot to be thankful for while being in North America. A lot of people there, they struggle a lot harder. They work tougher jobs, longer hours for less money, and arguably a lower standard of living. And China's not a country. It's not like other more relaxed countries like Latin American countries where arguably they don't earn as much money, but I feel like some of the Latin American countries, their lifestyle a little bit more relaxed. I'm not saying they're lazy or anything. I'm just saying, it's just the mentality. People are just chill. People, I guess, if you go to Mexico or Brazil, people are just chill, but they're living in poverty still, right? But whereas people in China, they're living in poverty, but they're working like super hard. They're working really hard.
The only reason I ask is because it has some sort of relation to what I'm doing. I dropped my degree a long time ago when I got a job, and I was like, what do I need school for? And then I'm picking it back up now, but I changed it from computer science, and I'm going into Mandarin. So it's just something that I have a small interest in. I wouldn't say it's small since I'm getting a degree in it, but
if you're gonna my suggestion, if you're gonna do business with people in China, go over there and see them. If you're buying anything, especially if you're buying stuff, just go there, see them, pick them out, make sure you seal it yourself and mail them to yourself, send them back to yourself here. In my experience, I bought stuff and I don't look at it, and they send me, they send me a kilo of something, and I can't even use, I can't use more than half of it, and so I'm stuck.
Okay.
Take a loss on it, so it sucks.
I gotcha.
I actually found the minimum wage for China.
Okay, what is it?
Per hour, the nominal per hour is $1.21 USD.
Okay, so you could do it for $2 an hour then, and that would be good, right?
That's not bad. $2 an hour, 80. What is that? $60, 120 bucks.
160.
Yeah, $120. Yeah, I do it.
It's 160, right? Wait a minute.
Wait
a minute. Okay, hold on. So $2
you said
times...
we said we rounded up to $2.
Oh, it's 40 though, right? So $2
40 hours.
40, that's 80. So 80 bucks.
80 hours. Yeah, 80 bucks.
$80 for Finra amount.
Yeah.
Good for
Oh
that.
man, that's even stupider than $24 for the Odin mount.
Yeah.
Then no, then it's not worth it.
Or for the cloud card, I mean, your choice really.
Yeah.
Well, if dude is farming that much, then I think I should have enough MPG to buy all of those things. If it's all of those things, then I would give it consideration because that's a long time.
Right.
That's a lot of hours to be farming.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's really all the information that's even like relatively interesting on 2.55. Can you guys think of anything else that I might have not gone over that would be kind of interesting to point out?
I think you hit pretty much everything. I mean, since we can't really go more in depth with the story.
Yeah. We'll go in depth. We'll have a really good conversation about it.
That trial was a lot of fun, though. Whoever's done the trial, that was a lot of fun.
I will say, yeah, I would say the trials, just make sure you have an idea what you're doing when you go in there, or else you're just going to hate it. Because the one thing I'll let you know is you can't wipe on it. So basically, it goes until the boss is at the end of a wall. And so if you guys mess up enough times to where you can't catch back up, you have to wait until 10 minutes is up before you can restart again.
Oh my god.
So it's a pain in the ass. And that's the worst thing I hate about it, especially when people go in and they don't know what they're doing, which is okay because it just came out. But, you have to kind of instruct them on what to do, and then they don't listen to you, and it becomes a pain in the ass. Unless if you go in with a few people that you know, you probably will be upset by the end of it.
I was pretty salty about that trial for a minute. I wiped for 2 hours straight before I got a successful
I don't know what's so
pug.
wrong with y'all. I like one-shot it. All I did was hit the dragon killer.
Yeah, but, see, that's the thing. People don't know how to do snare, string killer. Anyways, I won't go too much into it. So before we get off, that's pretty much most of the content that I had for us tonight. Do you guys have anything left lingering on your mind that you want to run over before we end the cast? Samus, you got anything?
For me, it's I gotta get through the story. I gotta get through the story, and then I could see what the big deal is.
I got
Because
you.
another fun fact, I've skipped every cutscene in the game. I have
Why
no
did
idea
you
what's
do
going on in
that?
the story.
Oh.
Because
Why?
yeah, I have
What
no
is
idea what's
wrong
going
with
on in the
you?
story. People get mad. People get mad watching me do story mode because I ask questions like, "Who are the Scions? Am I Scion? What's my dude's name?" Like,
Yeah.
Alright,
You know-
start a new character and watch the cutscenes
No,
now.
see, that's
I'll
the
lay
thing.
over it. Just do it now.
It's on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch it if you want to.
I think I might have to. I might have to go on YouTube and just watch it so that I'm not as ignorant, or I could just piss off my viewers even more, which is what I'm going to do by asking them what happened to that other Rogadin female? What happened to her?
God forbid
Something-
real alpha men don't watch
Where's she
cutscenes.
Nah.
Yeah. So, playing a little bit of the story mode, there's obviously more, and I find as I see more of it, I have to go back and Google more and figure out who the hell all these people are.
Yeah. Well, Gilly, you got any closing thoughts?
Aside from that long ass cutscene, I actually have a lot of questions that's kind of been
Oh, yeah.
racing through my head as like new classes
Oh, okay.
besides the 3 we're getting.
I don't know if they're going to do that for a while. They might introduce one more. They said they were pretty much done with making us happy with classes because of how much work it took to get those 3 out there. They'll probably. I can admit that it'd be weird for them if they don't do at least one new class over the course of the next expansion. But
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what it could be.
Well, there was the 2 for sure, and they were fighting each other.
Yeah. We'll let that one ride, and we'll just see. People can find out what those classes are when they watch it.
Yep.
All right, Adagio, and you got any closing thoughts?
Wait, they're in the cutscene. You're saying the new,
Classes, yeah.
The
the 2 new ones that are coming out, or is there like another one that?
Just another class that possibly could be in the game.
Oh, okay. I gotta watch for that now.
Yeah, you gotta watch the cutscene.
Yeah, I know.
You'll know it's the cutscene when it gives you that warning. It's like, warning.
Please
make
go
time.
get popcorn and beer and prepare to sit here for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that something you think a girlfriend would want to watch?
I don't know, maybe it depends on
If they
what
like
she's
reading.
into.
I mean, not all of it's reading, but there are going to be parts where you have to read. a
Well,
little bit.
the 45 isn't the 45 mostly voice acted?
Mostly
Yeah,
it
it's
is,
all-
but I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's.
But then I have to go ahead and explain the backstory to her,
yeah,
right?
There's a lot.
That
of
means I'd have to
backstory.
talk to her. No, forget it then.
Yeah. maybe talking. Who does that?
Talking. I know, right?
Adagio, you got any closing thoughts, man?
I really liked the story, where they're going with it. Look forward to seeing what the outcome of what happened is going to be, and really looking forward to 3.0.
Okay. I'm with you guys. I'm going to be. I think I'm probably going to be leveling up alts over the next couple of months, just so I can be more familiar and not be called out about mechanics and stuff. And I know what the classes actually do.
Yeah,
but-
unfortunately, like last week, we were like, healer mechanics. Oh,
yeah, we were all 3 tanks, and so we're trying to discuss healer and DPS mechanics, and we're just like, I got a loose grip on what it could be, but tanks were all over. We had that, but all right. Well, I think that's pretty much all I got for the stream. And if you guys, there's one thing I do want to mention. If you guys have any music or any art or anything like that related, please send it my way. Get in contact with me. I would love to put that stuff on the show, just like when we're opening up or when we're closing. I haven't been able to find much recently. That song that we found last week was like the only one that I found over the next 2 weeks. And so if you guys have anything, send it my way and I'll put it on stream. And whew, I appreciate you guys all for watching, and I appreciate my guest, my wonderful guest here, for showing up. Samus, how'd you like being on the show, by the way?
Oh, it's fun. It's a neat experience. I think podcasting and doing talk shows are a little bit different than streaming.
Yeah.
Not to say it's a bad thing, it's just
Yeah.
a little bit different. And also now if in the future next time I do other or my own podcast as well, now I kind of have an idea of what I'm in for.
Yeah. Well, and Gilly and Adagio, I appreciate you guys coming again. As always, you guys are awesome to have on the show. But if you guys have any suggestions or comments, send them my way as well. I would love to find out what I can do to make the show better. Every single Monday, I repeat this show at 9:30 p.m. EST or EDT, whatever it's called now, if daylight savings. And it's the same stuff.
Oh, shit.
General discussion and fun. But what were we saying oh shit to?
Oh, he's got his own monogrammed head.
Oh, yeah.
Head cap there, yeah.
All right. You guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time.